If you let fear be the driving factor in it, then you've already lost. You've got to
right?
be able to tune that stuff out and just focus in on what you yourself can handle, be comfortable with, and afford.
And
So it doesn't really matter what type of market we're in. If you're not in the game, you can't play it anyway. All right, guys, there's a lot of exciting stuff going on, right? A lot of people out there making podcasts, making videos. The media is out there talking about a couple different things. One, hey, the stock market can't get back up, it's crashing or whatever, right? Hey, real estate is crashing, inventory is way up, mortgage rates are way up. Oh, it's crashing. Um, I'm here to try and give a little bit of perspective. All right. Yes, things are about to get a little bit, you know, opposite of what we were used to for the past 2, 3 years, but it's just time to get used to something different. Welcome to Jerome and Real Estate. I'm Jerome, your local realtor here in the Fountain and Colorado Springs area. Let's talk about it. So, I definitely want to address a couple things. Number one, you're definitely going to be hearing a ton of media blasting the fact that markets are changing a little bit. We've already had, a huge dip in things like cryptocurrencies and things like the stock market. You've already seen that huge dip. And, we've called that a crash. We've called that, whatever. Next, we're rolling into the real estate slowdown, right? First, we talked about it as, well, it's a softening. Okay, mortgage rates are up, so, we're kind of just leveling off. Now people are just throwing words out there like, well, it's a crash, it's going to be a real estate recession, Um, Overall, markets in general, yes, there is concern that there's going to be a recession, and there is concern that it's going to be longer term. I can't dispute, whether it's going to be short term or long term. Um, Whether it's, and it doesn't matter which market I'm talking about, right? It could be crypto, could be stocks, could be bonds, could be real estate, right? It doesn't really matter which market I'm talking about. Here's what you really need to think about, okay? What is the outlook super long term, right? Long term, what is the real outlook? And that's the only thing that most people should focus on. But as human beings, it's kind of just not in our nature. We focus so much on the crowd, whatever the crowd is thinking. So for the last, 2 or 3 months, what's everybody been thinking? Well, that's what I should do as well, right? We're seeing the mortgage rates move up, which it's hindering buyers from buying, which means that real estate inventory is going to be sitting longer on the market, which means that now you're going to start seeing more of a buyer's market everywhere, right? Um, you'll start seeing that, and people are going to think, okay, well, since no one's buying, then I shouldn't buy either, right? And it's very dangerous to think like that. Very dangerous, because let's say you've never bought a home before. You've never owned your own home, right? This means you're on the sidelines, okay? But you're watching what investors are thinking about the market. You're watching what other homeowners are thinking about the market. Um, People who have real skin in the game are talking, right? And the only thing on their mind is, how they're going to either make more money or keep the money they already have, maintain their equity, do all these sorts of things that you can't do yet, right? Because you don't own a home. So you're watching this and you're still going to be following crowd mentality, right? Even though you're not even playing the game. Okay. So it doesn't really matter what type of market we're in, if you're not in the game, you can't play it anyway, right? So let's take this market, for instance. Right now, we're seeing that, yes, things are slowing down. Buyers are having some pause. They've got to really think about whether or not they want to jump in, right? But if you're not in the game, you can't even match them at all. You can't think about equity because you're not in the game yet. You don't have a property, right? You haven't built any equity. Okay? So let's suppose you go along with the crowd on this, right? And you do not buy your first property throughout this whole thing. However long this recession lasts or whatever it is, okay, this downturn. Let's say you go along and you do not buy a property, okay? And then things start to fix themselves. Then let's say, the mortgage rates start to decline, okay? What happens when mortgage rates start to decline? Well, more buyers are going to be able to afford homes. And then competition for homes increases, right? So now competition is heavier, even though mortgage rates are lower. And if competition is heavier, then what happens to prices? Prices move up, right? So now you've missed the chance when there was no competition, okay? And you're continuing on, and now you see that things have changed and there's a ton of competition and prices are up. Now, what are you going to say to yourself? You're going to say to yourself, man, there's just too much competition. The prices are too high. I can't get in the game. So now you've proven to yourself that no matter what the market is, you're still not in the game. While everyone else whose decision you're depending on or decisions you're following, they're actually in the game. They've been talking back and forth, those talking heads on TV, they own properties, right? But yet you're letting them skew your decision on whether or not to even get in the game at all. Okay. Long term, super long term, you've got to go, decades, not just 1 or 2 years. All right. Real estate stocks and good assets, good property is simply known for rising in value. No matter how slow, it's just known for rising in value. As long as you've done your research and you've bought when your finances are actually ready. Okay. If you let fear be the driving factor in it, then you've already lost, right? You've got to let your finances dictate when to invest in something. And that's pretty much all I wanted to say today. I want to make sure that all the fear mongering and all the media attention that's about to happen, especially in real estate, because real estate sort of lags all the other markets. You've got to be able to tune that stuff out and just focus in on what you yourself can handle, be comfortable with, and afford. And then take a long-term view and understand where you're going to go, because the market is never going to be perfect. The perfect time to buy a large asset that you believe in is when you're financially ready. It's not when the market is, going here or going there. It's when you're financially ready, because you know that in the long term, it's a sound investment. And that's all there is to it. If you like these tips, if you like these little videos that I'm pushing out every week, hopefully I'm able to help calm some people down, right? Go ahead and give it a like, give it a subscribe, and catch up with me weekly.